Follow North Carolina A&T football all season long, powered by Tobacco Road Sports Radio on Greensboro's home for the Aggies, AM 1400 and 103.5 FM, The Light. The best sliders in the Triad are from Twin City Minis. Picture this: juicy sliders with premium Angus beef, crispy chicken, or even delicious veggie options. And don't forget the loaded fries that'll leave you craving for more. Visit them today and test the difference. Twin City Minis, where small bites bring big smiles. Follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/Twin City Minis to see where the food truck will pop up next. When you think of the best burger sliders in the Triad, think Twin City Minis.
Looking for your real estate expert in Kernersville? Meet Nikki Rottweiler, your go-to expert with the unrivaled knowledge of the market. From hidden gems to prime profiles, she's got the inside scoop. Don't miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime. Contact Nikki Rottweiler today and experience the difference firsthand. Call Nikki at 336-448-9309 to get started. Head Realty Group, opening dreams one door at a time.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan is here. Your local agent can help you create an affordable car insurance price.
Visit Susanna Nunn, State Farm Insurance in Kernersville.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio, your home for Triad Sports.
And you know this, man.
The Blue and Gold postgame show presented by Lido Pizza of Kernersville. Daily lunch deals, pizza, salad, subs, and more right off Salem Parkway at 220 Market View Drive in Kernersville. And you want to go and check them out. Lido Pizza of Kernersville, of course, is the sponsor of the Blue and Gold postgame show. Another tough loss for A&T, 42-32. Al. On homecoming, some positives. And of course, we want you to type your comment or question into the chat. Pamela says, we got to fix play calling. And, you know, it's just one of those deals where it's a tough loss for A&T, who really, Al, today had some opportunities.
You know, you're right, Donal. And, you know, from a positive standpoint in terms of our offense, we really have opened up the offense a little bit the last couple of games. And, you know, we've gotten the ball to our playmakers in situations other than special teams. And, of course, before he went out with an injury, KJ White was really playing well. And hopefully he is not seriously injured. And, of course, Brick Handler came in and did what I thought was an outstanding job. And so it's just a really tough situation because it seems as though we're playing uphill all the time. Because today, for example, every time we scored, Towson had a response. They came back and put some points on the board. And so when you're constantly playing uphill, I mean, it's not only tough physically, it's tough mentally, and no such thing as a moral victory, but we can definitely see some growth, especially offensively for A&T.
Benjamin brings up let me read Benjamin's comment, and then I'll pose this question to you. He says, KJ is good, but Brick Handler is the better quarterback right now. Opportunity matters. Do we, in fact, if let's say KJ is ready to go next week, do we have a quarterback controversy?
I don't think so. Okay. I really don't think so. I think that KJ has proven the last couple of games that if he is not injured, he deserves to be the starting quarterback. Of course, Brick Handler came in today and did really well, but, you know, just a few weeks ago, people were criticizing him because of that interception that he threw. And so if you look at it in its totality, last couple of games, KJ White at the quarterback position really has grown. He's matured, and I think he has earned the right to keep that starting quarterback position if he indeed is healthy next week.
Pamela says Brick did very well. If you look at the total offensive yards, A&T 501 to Towson's 442. Clearly the best offensive output by far for A&T this year. And that includes Hampton, where last week where A&T really moved the football.
Exactly. Last week, of course, White went over 200 yards, and we got the first touchdown pass of the year. And, we talked about it last week. Can we continue that going forward? And we saw an example today where the offense really opened up a little bit. And as I said earlier, one of the things that's really interesting, Donal, is that at the beginning of the year, the defense was the one that was carrying us. And we were waiting for the offense to catch up. But now that the offense is to some degree caught up, boy, we're getting gashed on defense. And so it's a tough situation.
I'm laughing because I'm going to read the quote. Okay, the quote says Eli has been playing like that his whole career, and that comment was made by Bricky's grandfather. Love it, absolutely love it. Kermit says growth in the play calling, which you did see some things. The use of the tight end today also, Al.
You're right. The use of the tight end. We put the playmakers in position where they could get the ball in their hands. And so from a standpoint of play calling, you're right. They open up the offense a little bit. And we saw an example today. I mean, they put up 32 points. Wasn't enough to win. But, I mean, baby steps. And so that makes 2 weeks in a row. Because, coming from where we were, God, Donal, you're not been there, boy. We were the first few games, we were just anemic offensively. And so the growth is there, and it's just going to take some time. And hopefully it's going to be a tough schedule. We knew that going in, but you can see some growth and some reasons for optimism. And,
of course, speak to the again, the defense has been really getting gashed, particularly in the rush defense all year long. Like, we get that. But if you've got a guy like a B.J. Turner on the field, a lot of those plays that I think you hit it on the head, Al. A lot of first down. I would say Towson probably averaged on their first down plays 8-9 yards a clip, which puts you behind this, behind on second and short. Having a guy like a B.J. Turner would have stopped that today.
I mean, we really missed B.J. Turner today, and anytime teams are getting 5-6 yards more on first down, I mean, you're playing uphill all the way, and I mean that is really hard to do, man. I mean, I've been there, and when you're constantly playing uphill, it is not only tough physically, it's tough mentally, because as we saw today, every time we would do something positive, get a drive, put some points on the board, Towson would come right back and respond with a score of their own. And that's really a tough way to play football.
Billy says need to continue using tight end, which is what A&T, we saw that particularly, I believe, was on the third down to Dobson, and then the touchdown in the end zone for A&T was a big-time play. That was Darren Bennett, who makes his first career touchdown reception for A&T this year. But it's, you can point to a number of different things. I just think you see the offense today, and when KJ White went down, Brick Handler was able to come in and really ignite this offense as well. It's just that for so long, the majority of the season, it's been the defense that's been really, really good.
Right.
And now the offense is coming around. The defense is not so much.
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier, that the first, 4 or 5 games of the year, boy, I tell you, the defense was really carrying us. And, we felt some degree of sympathy for them because they were constantly on the field all the time. And now that the offense has opened up and put some points on the board, it just goes to defense now. I mean, teams are just gashing us with the run game, and we're just not used to seeing that at A&T. Teams run against an A&T defense, but they are doing it. And so this is something that they're going to have to deal with.
What did you think, Billy, in terms of Kent, the quarterback for Townsend, and what he really brought to the table today for Townsend?
I thought he did a great job. And first and foremost, he had time. Go through his progressions. He could have picked 1, 2, or 3 receivers, and if you give that kind of time, defensive backs usually don't have a chance to cover a person that long. But when he didn't throw the ball, he did an excellent job of running it. So I was telling Al that, they kind of 50-50, good passing team, good running team. And I think that was showed today with the quarterback.
Kenji Christian, 140 yards. He didn't lose any yards today, right? 140 gained, 140 net, 3 rushing touchdowns on 22 carries. He did have the fumble, but he had a big game for A&T.
No doubt about it. I mean, this is the second week in a row that Christian has had a big ball game. Of course, you can't overlook his fumbles, but he's a freshman. White's a freshman. We got all these underclassmen, and I think that the challenge is going to be to keep these kids here, and get some recruits in and that are more adaptive playing in the CAA, and it just takes time. It just really takes time, and I just hope we can keep everybody around.
Please type your comments in the chat or whatever question you may have. We will read it off. Jay says the Aggies played hard, and this shows they have heart, but individuals don't win games. Teams win games.
Mm-hmm.
They are good. There are good things, but A&T is about 2 years away.
I agree with the 2 years away, Donal. The retention of players that we do have and a couple of good recruiting classes should put us in pretty good shape. But I have a question that I just thought about asking Al as a football coach. Next year when the recruiting come around, is a good practice to pick up a couple of junior college transfers, or you want to start from scratch and grow your own teams?
Well, with the transfer portal the way it is now, Billy, teams are not going back to, building from JUCOs. They're looking for, transfers from, other teams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons I'm concerned about keeping keeping these kids here. Because look at who we lost last year through the transfer portal.
We lost a bunch.
Yeah. I mean, we lost Bashal Tootin. We lost the wide
Roberts.
receiver, Roberts. And those guys are playing at big-time schools, and they are making significant contributions. And so, the JUCO scene is junior college scene is pretty much out now. Teams are looking through that transfer portal to show up in areas they need to build up in.
No doubt about it. And next up, of course, you go up to Rhode Island next week. It doesn't get any easier. And, you look at a couple of these games last week, winnable game, certainly this week. And, it's going to be a little bit tougher next week having to travel up to Rhode Island.
And Rhode Island is pretty good. I mean, they're a pretty good team. But, you brought up something earlier, Donal, that's really puzzling to me is that the way this league is going this year. I mean, teams are beating teams they shouldn't beat. They're losing to teams they shouldn't lose to. And, you look at Townsend, coming into today's game, you would think on paper that we had a pretty good chance to be in this game today, But they were a really good football team. And we just couldn't make them one-dimensional. They were able to run the football. They were able to throw the football effectively. And it just made it really tough for A&T.
Villanova has just defeated New Hampshire 45-33, and but the team that's leading the conference, the University of Delaware, is still losing to Elon 33-17 with 2 minutes left in the game. So as you said, Donal, on any given Saturday, you need to bring your A game whenever you play in the CAA conference.
Kermit makes a good point to say the growth in the quarterbacks is because of the growth in Chris Young as the offensive coordinator. And, you look at last week, called a really, really good game. And I think they had a little bit of and I'm not sure what happened, but that it was a bit of a mishap at the end of the first half when you had the 20 seconds remaining, the 2 timeouts. and we had the penalty.
Yeah.
If you remember, I think it was holding, and the clock ran down to 5 seconds before we called the timeout, giving us only one play. That said, you did look at this offense and you could see where the growth is coming in terms of the play calling also.
Yeah, you could see that the beginning of that last week up at Hampton, and we sort of, opened the playbook up a little and started to put guys like Cook in different positions, put him in the slot where you can use him not only as a pass receiver, but also put him in motion as a runner. And we saw some big plays out of that. Going to a more short passing game, which doesn't necessarily mean less yards, but, give those guys, let them catch the ball in space and use their ability. And, of course, we are throwing the ball more to the tight end. And so, there's been some growth in terms of offense. But the key, Donal, as we said, boy, I tell you, the defense is just, for whatever reason, we're just getting what teams are just gashing us right now.
Yeah, and we know that a lot of people are enjoying the homecoming festivities here at the greatest homecoming on earth. So we're going to get ready to wrap it up here on the Blue and Gold post-game show. Before we go, those that may not have heard or may not have listened to the game, whatever the case may be, Spencer Gwynn, the longtime voice of A&T, didn't miss a game in 50 years. Okay, 50 years, passed away on yesterday. And so again, Al, just kind of your thoughts on, we just saw him. I know you maybe talked to him recently. Yeah. We just saw him here a couple of weeks ago, the game against Richmond. Just your, what are you thinking in this moment?
Well, Spencer is definitely going to be missed. And when I have to be honest, when I think of Spencer Gwynn, there's one thing that comes to mind, and that was his love for A&T. And for A&T football in particular. And I mean, it was just unmatched. I mean, he really loved this institution. He loved football, and that was why, of course, he was able to put together those 50 years. And he was a close personal friend of mine, and it's just really hard. I thought about him during the game, Don, and it's just hard for me to fathom that Spencer's not here anymore. And it's something I'm going to have to come to grips on a personal note, and but he will definitely be missed.
Billy?
I agree with Al just 1 minute that Elon did defeat Delaware today, okay. Donald, and Hampton did defeat Maine.
Okay.
But Spencer Gwynn, you talking about an icon, and in all of the years that I was fortunate enough to go with him on the road along with Mel Swann, and it brings back to me at a Delaware State game when we didn't get all of our credentials before we could get into the game, and they have a little booth there, which is the security office, and we called Mr. Jones, the AD at that, sports information director at that time. And he told him that we didn't have any credentials, and he said, "Please let those three gentlemen in. They are icons." And Spencer was the first one to tell him, "Thank you very much for letting us in." And when you're around people that long, they know exactly who you're coming with. They know exactly who Spencer Gwynn and Mel Swann and myself were, because we have been there for a very, very long time. So he's definitely going to be missed. And it was a tough pill when I heard that phone call come in when Al was talking to him, and I had to sit back and just take my grips there and get a chance, because he was a tremendous loss to not only the three of us, but to the university itself.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, my memory of plenty, obviously, of Spencer, a couple of them when I was the sports information director here. Back in the late 90s and the early part of the 2000s, used to always communicate with him. I also remember in 2014 at the North Carolina Central game, it turned out to be what was his last game broadcast. And after that, we took a picture, which I'm going to post on my Facebook page. And he said to me, "Maybe you'll be the next one to be the one to do what I've done for these 50 years. Could never do it like him. Going to doing my best to do it, but now sitting in this position and very humbled to, in fact. And by the way, that handshake would put you down. Okay, that handshake, even in his late 80s, would put you down.
If you ever shook hands with Spencer Gwynn, you remembered it.
Yeah.
This guy had a grip like you wouldn't believe, boy, I tell you.
Now, you know, we got to understand that 50 games he didn't miss. There were many games that we went to during the time that I was with him that the home team had some problems and we just could not get on the air, but we were there. So that we want to make sure that's out of that 50 games that he had missed. A lot of them we just couldn't get on the air.
And we won't call out no schools. We won't do that. Although that's a shame when you go to places and can't, you know, get your broadcast going. But you know, sometimes technology is like that. Listen, William is going to get the last word. Getting back to the conversation, he mentioned the transfer portal. He says, with the prevalence of the transfer portal, where will we find our competitive edge in the area of recruiting?
Well, I think one of the things we need to do, of course, is, as we saw this year, we need to upgrade our size on the defensive line because we're going to constantly play teams that are averaging 315 and 320. And not only do they average 315, 320, I mean, these guys are quality players, you know, and so I think that's one of the things that Coach Brown has talked about as a goal. He envisions getting an NT where they have massive linemen on both sides of the ball. And if you can couple that with this freshman quarterback, he's going to continue to grow. And these younger players, I think that is going to be, if he can do it, and that's going to be a recipe for success.
I agree.
Thank you, Aggie Nation, for allowing us to come to your, of course, athletics YouTube and Facebook page each and every week with the Blue and Gold post-game show presented by Lido Pizza of Kernersville. And listen, if you're in Kernersville, passing by Kernersville, Lido Pizza is very, very good. It's it's one of those things that's now come to the Triad, and they are a proud supporter of this Blue and Gold post-game show. So if you enjoy this Blue and Gold post-game show, you enjoy pizza, you need to head on over to Lido Pizza in Kernersville. This is how we're able to, in fact, do this Blue and Gold post-game show. We're going to get ready to wrap it up here from the greatest homecoming on earth. Want to remind you that our next broadcast of North Carolina A&T football will, in fact, be on next Saturday. We're going to be up in Rhode Island, and we're going to be taking on Rhode Island in what should be a good football game. As a matter of fact, and that's a 1 p.m. game. It is a 1 p.m. game, so that means we're coming on with the pregame show beginning at 12:30. Want to thank my man Dez back at the studios of the Aggie Sports Radio Network for all of his outstanding work. For Al Swann and Billy Covington, Donal Ware saying so long for now. The stadium here on the campus of North Carolina A&T, your final score, Towson 42, North Carolina A&T 32. You've been listening to and watching Aggie football on the Aggie Sports Network.